What's good with the people? I am Damo, the political plug. This is the Chop Up Show. I'm here with my dog, Toya G. It's been a very interesting week, Toya. How are you?
Just another interesting week in the course of multiple interesting weeks. And what's crazy is I don't think they're going to get any less interesting anytime soon. So here we are.
Anytime soon. Anytime soon. So
Here
again,
we are.
here we are. Now,
Mhm.
we've been out of the mix a little bit. We've been dealing with sicknesses, especially my whole house and everything else, and getting schedules all back together. But y'all know, if we came on a Saturday, it's because we was gonna make sure that it went down for sure.
Absolutely.
We got Tyler in the building. What's good with Tyler
It's good.
joining us? You know what I'm saying? As y'all know how it go when y'all start to pull up, say what's up in the chat and everything else. But Toya, yesterday was a shit show. And what I mean by yesterday being a shit show, I'm talking about the meeting, the diplomatic meeting, or what was supposed to be a diplomatic meeting between Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and President Zelensky of Ukraine. And I have a lot to say, so I wanna start it off by giving you an opportunity to kind of lay out what your perspective and what you thought what happened. Giving everybody just a brief background on what went down. Uh, Zelensky met with Trump and JD Vance at the White House to discuss many things, including deals on mineral rights as well as ceasefires and creating peace with Russia. But out of everything that came out of the conversations that took place yesterday, it was mostly about, how do I say this? Because it was two sides. You feel me? You have proponents of Donald Trump. You have conservative media. You have right leaning individuals who are like, Trump did what he was supposed to do. Right? He represented America.
hmm
Zelensky and them been getting over with this whole. We've been sending them so much money. Right? With everything that's going on in the United States, we sending them so much money. Donald Trump needed to draw a hard line. He needed to make sure that Zelensky understood and knew what was up, right? That's that side. But then you got the other side that's like, it was bullish, it was abrasive, it wasn't diplomatic, right? It didn't come off as world leaders discussing like important issues. It came off as like men bickering at a bar. Right, like and I mean, not even not at a dive bar, but some bougie spot. With people that look, because even
hmm
one of the reporters had the nerve to ask Zelensky why doesn't he ever wear a suit? Like, think about where the
Yeah.
people's minds at.
That was a reporter?
A reporter asked that question.
That was a reporter that asked that?
That was a
Huh.
reporter that asked
I
that
thought it was
question.
that's crazy.
Nah, it was.
So that's what they letting in and kicking people out for and rearranging the
These are the
whole
qualified
media.
people, right? Yeah,
These were good journalists. Yeah.
these are the good ones. So,
And we're not asking those questions about. We're not asking Elon about Elon, right? We're
at
not. We're
all.
talking about Zelensky. We ask about suits and why are people not wearing them. We're not talking about Elon Musk.
Nah, at
We was
all.
talking about Vladimir Zelensky.
Now
Oh, okay.
one interesting thing that's been noted, Toya and I discussed before the show, is that there's even been conversation recently that Donald Trump feels that he's owed an apology by the way that the conversation went down.
hmm
Zelensky is already pointing out that it's not happening. I don't feel like I have anything to apologize for. Right? People feel like this puts the whole possibility of peace in jeopardy. It actually, some people that would argue that it actually jeopardizes Ukraine's efforts in its fight
hmm
against Russia, because the United States has done a lot to arm them and provide them with resources to be able to stay in the fight. And now Donald Trump is responsible for deciding whether or not uh, Ukraine gets what it needs, whether or not Ukraine gets what it needs in order to be effective and holding off the Russian military. So, Toya, what was your assessment as the headlines came out, as the clips came out? And we're gonna look at some of those in just a second. But what was your initial assessment of what you saw and heard in this meeting?
I mean, as much as we know ourselves not to be tethered to the overall veneer finish, the image of the United States, the shit is still embarrassing. Like the mostly what I saw was either posts or comments about post about comments that other world leaders have made about them standing with Ukraine, about them not respecting those actions, them calling it undiplomatic. Of course, you have other people from other countries talking about it, and so I mean, every day there's a new opportunity for me to really wonder what, honestly, middle class, such and such, not a person in particular power, but in these other developed countries that just read the news every day, what they have to think about some of this, because we know that their news has always been better than ours, and that they've had a more uh, totalistic, less biased, not totalistic, but more encompassing, more well-rounded perception of the news. And so when I see that, I'm just like, how embarrassing is that? Then me and the plug were also talking about, we were talking about together. What was the bullet point I read? Let me see. Following yesterday's events at the White House Haltbach bunkers, one of Norway's major marine fuel suppliers seems to have declared that it will stop refueling U.S. Navy ships. The company has urged other European firms to follow suit and deny service to American military forces. And this is uh, from some statements made by Aaron Partners, who is an up and coming journalist of TikTok fame, but who is also really popping on Substack and making sure to do his own independent journalism to push back against the silencing of those institutions, those more liberal, more mainstream institutions. And so when I think about Norway's decisions, I'm just like embarrassed, but now I'm also scared. Right, because this is where it's like we stop being a laughing stock and stop being like, ha, look at the fool, look at the circus, and it's really just like we about to start taking this shit out on y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like when you start talking about the military, and this is I'm no military enthusiast, but I understand and respect the decisions that are made and the overall kind of position that we're in because of the way that the United States is protected by a multiplicity of branches of the military, and so I'm disturbed by that. What do you mean they're not gonna let us fuel our ships? That means we can't put the ships where they at. We can't put the ships where they at. People gonna take advantage of that. People take advantage of that, and now the country is vulnerable. And we have been very fortunate. One of the things I think about, and I give it back to you, in terms of things like warfare, is that the likelihood that we experience like warfare on American soil is just so low, right? Like because of how the system is set up, and we're very privileged in that. But someday, somebody gonna find it and exploit the shit out of it. And if he could keep playing like this, he's making it easier for people to do that, and they already got a reason to be upset with us.
It's funny you say that too because Zelensky pointed that out. In one of the videos we're gonna play, Zelensky pointed to the fact that he's like, all right, you can say what y'all saying now because I got this big ocean. But y'all still gonna ocean between y'all and the people y'all consider y'all enemies. But you gonna feel the impact anyway, and that's one of the times where Donald Trump was like, well, hold on, you can't say that. Like you can't, you know what I'm saying?
Don't tell me what we're gonna feel. Don't tell us how to feel.
Right. And but before we even get to them clips though, like I feel like for me it was just like this is some unserious shit. To have such major ramifications. This shit petty. The conversation is petty. They like JD Vance is focused on whether or not you need to be grateful. You need to say thank you. Like what kind of what I'm saying abuser type of relationships that you done been in to where it's like you preface advantages of a relationship based on them saying thank you first and being grateful for what I'm saying whatever else. And it's like the fact that this is where their minds go. This is what's important to them. This type of bickering back and forth. You got Trump being asked serious questions about ceasefires and getting
placating and feeding into the narcissism of. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like just nonsensory. It's also about ego stroking. It's to be very clear. This is power play, right? This is not necessary politics, but the man think he a king. He wants to be bowed before, right? And then you got King Jr., not Martin, over here thinking that he's somebody special as well. And so all of these theatrics, they commence. And so it's sad. It's good.
And that's why it's like I can't, like it's petty at best. You feel me? It's
Yeah.
petty at best. And I want to get into a few. I want to get into a few of these examples of excerpts of these conversations where it was like petty at its finest. You're not about to see any real. Because again, when we talk about qualified and having the particular type of like a merit, you know what I'm saying? He's not showing that. You know what I mean? Like he's not moving like a diplomat. You can make excuses and say, well, this is why I like him in that position. Well, it's like, it's cool. You want somebody, like, you're okay with somebody unqualified because of like the fandom. You're a fanatic. I get it. But at the end of the day, you being a fan of Donald Trump doesn't make him more qualified. And when we look at his actions, these are perfect examples of why he shouldn't be in this type of position. When you got the conversations of like World War III, the possibility of those types of conflicts, and somebody who is so unserious and more about what they making themselves look like they in charge. In control of these types of situations, what if you had somebody like Donald Trump that was at the helm during the Bay of Pigs situation with Cuba and John F. Kennedy? Mm-hmm. What if you had in those types of circumstances when you need somebody who can what's it called, decrease the conflict, right? When it's somebody de-escalate, when somebody who can de-escalate a scenario. Donald Trump is not a de-escalator. He an antagonizer. He's an antagonizer. And that's why I say petty at best. So we're going to take a look at some of these excerpts of these conversations to really bring that point home. Let me get this, make sure so Toya can see it too. But we really about to show. We really about to bring on. We not letting them talk about who's qualified for what when these is the type of performances they putting on.
Tyler picked up what I was putting down. You know, you felt that, and I appreciate that. What's good, Jay Universe? Jay Universe, while you getting the clip ready, said it was mad cringe watching that. Had me feeling bad for Zelensky because he didn't really pop off for real. If he wants our help, or rather he couldn't really pop off for real if he wants our help. If I was him, I would look for allies elsewhere. And I mean, that's basically the position that he's in. And I think he's probably known that since the transition. And that's one of the things he was pointing out. You know, you are extending your allyship and making me kiss the ring and try to bow to you. But on the other side of it, you doing wild shit with Russia. You know what I'm saying? Like, you let them violate I believe the ceasefire or something like that. Like, that's one of the things he kept trying to point out is like where was all this energy for Russia when they was in violation? You wasn't cracking down on them. You wasn't talking crazy to them. Instead, we've only ever seen you cozy up more to Putin. So you ain't even playing it right for me to be oh so grateful to you. Like, yeah, you sliding a couple dollars over here and that's cool, but you not doing the number one. That was the Biden administration. And number two, you up here, you know what I'm saying, trying to make me feel comfortable and like this is a real partnership and I need to honor it as such. But you canoodling with the very ones trying to take our shit and erase our people. So like you're not finna play in my face. I could be grateful, but I don't gotta be a fool. You know what I'm saying? Like, both of them things can be true at the same time. Like, I appreciate you, but I'm somebody. I represent a lot of somebodies. I represent a nation and a group of people who have been whooping some ass and fighting back in this war, partially because of your support, but because we are strong and dignified people. So like, don't get it fucked up. You feel me? Like, real quick for the clip play too, say what's up. If y'all in here, it's like 9-10 people in here watching. Go ahead and say what's up real quick. It's great to have y'all. Hopefully y'all stick around, hit the bell so y'all know when we coming back. Hit the follow or the subscribe so you can always be a part of these conversations. But it's great to have you in the building.
All right, let's get.
Who's trying to save your country?
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been.
Now, I mean, I just hear the conversation. This is petty shit. You're not winning. You're not winning. You're in a bad situation. Like, hey, wait, he's not speaking like. How do you go from he's not speaking loudly to you're not winning? You're in a bad situation, right? Like, this is not diplomacy.
And that's what a lot of people said. It didn't have to be like this in front of the media was a huge part of the criticism. It's like, okay, you can talk and beat your chest and do whatever the things it is that you feel like you need to do to let this man know you got him, under your thumb, basically. When y'all are having the backdoor conversations, but you've invited the cameras in here, there's a particular narrative and a lot of different, like, it just wasn't wise or intelligent to do that, to berate this man in these ways. Like, and this little microaggressive little behaviors, just everything from asking a question. He was asking a question. He's answering the question. Stop talking. You've been doing a lot of talking. Well, how do you want him to answer the question that he was just asked without talking? So it's like these little power play things on top of the things he's actually saying that are just like so infuriating. Like, come on.
You know what it is? These niggas they come off like Karens.
They are Karens.
This is Karen.
This is what they've been watching their whole lives.
That's a fact. This is Karen energy. This is Karen energy. Wait, he's not talking loud. He's not talking loud. Hold on. Your country's doing bad. Your country's doing terrible. Like,
if we can get into a gender criticism real quick, is some of the more effeminate behaviors that niggas really find problems with when they are trying to have a conversation or be rational or explain themselves, or, be humble and kind enough to go ahead and explain instead of doing stuff. They claim that they be trying to talk, be trying to get it out, and somebody constantly cutting them off and making it hard for them and frustrating them and shit like that. And so, in the same ways that you would, this is considered masculine behavior. This is domination. You talked about the split. In between the two people, there's a faction of people who was like, look at him being so strong and so capable.
No.
So he's on it. He's sharp. He's not letting anything fly. Him and JD are in there like two dogs and just rubbing them. Like, and then there's other people that's just like, y'all would say them niggas was acting gay in any other context.
In any other context.
They doing too much. They, they won't let the man talk.
Tell you, they nagging. They nagging.
Come on.
Ain't that what y'all say? That like that's feminine behavior, right? But in this context, nagging you're gonna frame as a dominant behavior. Yeah, if you nagging a nigga, you bullying him. What?
Come on.
What? Like, cause like he said, he like, bro, you think you okay? Talking loud, don't. Hey, he's not talking loud. He's not talking like all this. I gotta save him, jump in, not letting him.
I'm not yelling. What do you mean? I'm just talking to you. We just like. We've seen scenarios before, and
that's right. And so what we're seeing again is it's not that there's a legitimate way to look at this and say that this is this is real bully diplomacy. No, it ain't even that.
Yeah,
it's Karen diplomacy. It's Karen energy.
J Universe said definitely Karen energy, right? Let me see. J Universe said, and Vance, Minecraft ass, really trying it, like really trying to get some shit to crack. Emmanuel, shout out to Peaches. Emmanuel said, yeah, that shit was a fucking reality show. It was a ride right outside of The Apprentice, and that's what it is when you think you are running a business.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you get confused, you get lost about space, place, and what the expectations are. He's never been presidential, and never more so in these moments. You got another clip?
Oh yeah.
Oh, run it.
Yeah, hold on. I wanted to play some more. I'm gonna play some more of this one though.
You got it. I just wanted to jump to the comments real quick.
Yeah, we all good. Let's get it.
Alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks.
You haven't been allowed.
Cabinet.
You haven't been allowed.
In this cabinet.
We gave you through this stupid president $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment, and you men are brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our military equipment, if you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
maybe
new.
Less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of
accept
times
that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's.
See, and again. He's talking about we shouldn't litigate this in front of the American media. Then why are cameras there? This is the White House. Y'all arranged for this to be litigated in front of the American media. Like, him responding to y'all dumbass criticism is not an example of you. You can't take the high road now. Y'all just talked over this man, didn't allow him to speak. I don't understand.
Keep touching him. My thing is these corrective ass behaviors. Like, I'm paying attention to the nonverbals, right? He reached out and like physically tried to stop Zelensky, like, calm down, like put his hand around his shoulder as if to contain him, to say, yeah, I get to be bigger in this moment. I get to be bigger in the room. You're not going to be more emphatic more than me. You're not going to gesture more than me. You're not going to be more animated than me. And that shit is power play par excellence. It doesn't help that I gave a lecture on nonverbal communication earlier this week. So I'm really tapped in.
No, for sure.
Proxemics and how it is that humans kind of understand the barriers or our bubbles, if you will. And that intimate to 1.5 feet away, that's called the intimate zone, right? And then, of course, we have the personal zone that's 1.5 to 4 feet away. They're in the personal zone. Let's keep it cute. We want to be presented as cozy, as comfortable. If not, they would have been sitting around a big ass table, you know what I'm saying, or some shit like that, or at podium separated. But there is an attempt to make this seem like a collective, everybody in good faith conversation. So then when you violate the personal zone and start to jump into the intimate zone, and we are clearly not being intimate, my nigga, like that is, an attempt to crowd me out, to demonstrate weakness, to demonstrate and flex strength. And that's not some shit that is cool for world leaders. Y'all are both, he got a country too, my nigga. Like, come on.
That's why I said it's a difficulty.
If you're trying to be diplomatic.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the difficulty in taking this type of diplomatic approach serious.
Oh, my God.
All right, let's get into it. We got a little bit more of the conversation to go.
I see the comments too. We're gonna jump over there and holler with y'all.
Hold on. Now this is where we got to see more of for real capping for Putin. It ain't like, it ain't even, he ain't even trying to sneak and do it no more. Now again, and regardless of how we feel about U.S. foreign policy has been anti-Russia. And the fact that they've capitulated and allowed Donald Trump to capitulate to Russia and Putin the way that they have, and Republicans have been okay with it. Like, this is the whole nationalism, how much we care about American security and everything else. And one of the greatest threats to American security, we see the president kissing ass, and we calling this bullying. All right, let's listen.
Broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr.
are
President,
not
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influenced.
We're going to feel very good.
Very good.
I'm going to say the opposite of what you said, because I can't let you, like...
Yo, and think again, we're talking about, when he's asked what type of diplomacy are you demanding from us, when they're the ones that's breaking the ceasefire, they're the ones who's not returning the hostages, they're the ones that's not abiding by any agreements, and you talking to us about diplomacy, and again, as debaters, as a debate coach, as you, somebody with a master's degree in rhetoric, right?
It's rhetoric.
In rhetoric, what is it called when someone when asked a legitimate response or a legitimate question, right? How are you talking to us about diplomacy when we're not the ones that's breaking the agreements? And then the response that they get is to then attack them, talk about what's wrong with their country, and not address that. What is it? What is that called?
This is called an argumentative fallacy, and it's actually called avoiding the question. There are a few different ways you can avoid the question, and JD Vance did multiple. There was an ad hominem in there, so instead of focusing on the question or focusing on the argument, you focus on attacks. He literally said, and this shit is like wild to me. Respectfully, you are being disrespectful. Like, so instead of dealing with the minutia of the question that I'm asking, you want to critique me, criticize me, paint me in a negative light so that you don't. It makes it seem as though you don't have to answer the questions that I've asked of you because my behavior is prefaced before you can get to the heart of what the conversation is about. Then
Triggered.
Right? Then you want to ask, instead of you avoid the question by attempting to stack the deck, a second way by asking a whole bunch of other questions in return, which is why Zelensky said, okay, we're going to start at the top. Let's answer one question at a time. If we're really going to get into this, I have an exchange because I put something out there and you sent me 4 other things that I have answers for, but you won't let me answer none of that shit. So you attempt to try to go into overload, to try to overload me so that the direction of the conversation can move in the direction you want it to. The third way that we see this is in his attempt to kind of group and scoop some of the nuance that will allow for his position to have any integrity to it. And what I mean by that is Zelensky specifically asked, like, when have you been to Ukraine? He died, but well, I've seen enough to know.
I've read the stories and I've seen the YouTube videos.
And it's just like, you attempt to pivot out of answering that question instead of answering it honestly. I've never been to Ukraine is a whole ass move, and you did it and you hit that pivot. And you tried to group and scoop that shit and slide it to the left because you still wanted to have the upper hand in the exchange when in reality you didn't. So again, argumentative fallacy, that's called avoiding the question. It's a bunch of different ways you can do that. We saw ad hom. We saw you attempt to stack the deck by answering a question with a question and asking a bunch of them at one time. And then lastly, you didn't answer the question. Instead, you did not give the truthful answer. You gave the answer that you thought saved you and then took it another direction. Now all of that shit was unsuccessful.
Man, okay, and I think that's phenomenal how you pointed that out, because these are common. These ain't even like high level strategy, diplomacy, negotiating tactics
At all.
These niggas is arguing with Zelensky like niggas argue on YouTube.
Yeah,
like straight up, like on TikTok. Like the type of comments, these, like when you read the comments in TikTok, you'd be like, that's a dumb argument, right? That's a dumb response. That's what these niggas is coming with. They don't even have, this isn't high level negotiating. This is comment section badgering at best.
You're just doing poorly.
At best. You know what I'm saying?
The comments is cracking me up. YB speak, shout out to YB, said nothing but clowns running the circus and its damning implications for the history books. Tyler said, answering, have you been to my country, saying you saw stories is hilarious. Like, it's laughable. Like, what are we really talking about? YB says the president has to always keep the American people in mind when dealing with foreign relations, and it seems Trump and Vance only think about themselves. When you make threats about war, that's a concern. And that's really where, the flippancy, that was very jarring to me, right? When you ask about how I felt about that, that was a moment that I was like, you don't tell us how to feel. Like, are you really ignorant enough to sit there in this man's face and say these don't have implications on our country? We've seen the ups and downs and the back and forths of gas prices at the very least, right? We've seen the implications we're starting to see polarization and what happens when we become out here on this little island and Europe starts to push back against us. So you know what I'm saying? Like, what's up? Emmanuel, like, these dumbass, I know you are, but what are my tactics? You know what I'm saying? These comment section tactics that these niggas is using is really, it's sad. It's piss poor. And it makes it hard for me to believe that we get out of the next 6 months with any meaningful allied relationships. Because look how we treat our allies. Look at what happened when shit get thick. Look what happened when we take some. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be real intimate with y'all. And I love my mama to death, and we are both better people, and we've grown and stuff like that. But when I realized that shit started being weird, when I needed something from my mama, I stopped asking. Don't even worry about it. Because it seemed like when it come to me getting stuff and it get thick and real, get rid of the energy, get weird. And this is somebody who's provided for me my whole life. I'd be lying if I said she didn't, but it was something about that just changed the scope and scale of our relationship. We got closer when I stopped asking for shit. You know what I'm saying? Or the relationship repackaged itself when I just started being about getting my own shit. We always got each other back. And if somebody need a Hail Mary, but like the little regular, can I?
Yeah,
I don't do that shit.
On that. Yeah.
And so the whole texture of the relationship changed. We about to start seeing some textural changes with our relationship because niggas start saying, we need you. Look how you act. Look how you do.
Niggas are grateful. You're not said. You haven't said thank you to President Trump.
Fuck
yeah, while President Trump the whole time campaigning was kissing Putin ass, talking about we wasting money sending money to Ukraine, right? Like so, let's not act like Donald Trump has been one of the loudest, most vocal voices in defense of Ukraine getting money in the first place.
Come on,
you know what I mean? This is one of them things where it's like, yo, you want to fight, like you want to bicker, you want to agitate. Like you want reasons to be like, nah, we shouldn't be fucking with them. That's why they asking for shit like an apology in the first place. And I think you make a great point when it comes to our allies, because just like you pointed out with our Navy ships now losing places where they can refuel based on how they move, that shit has global implications. That shit is no joke.
Just opting, I'm good, and it just literally off the strength of. I just can't sit back and watch this shit happen. There ain't nothing about this got nothing to do with no Norwegian. Ain't nobody said nothing about Norwegian, nothing. But just based on these behaviors, the toxicity, the radioactivity of it all, I don't want to be associated. I wash my hands of it. And I encourage my peers in the oil and refueling industry to do the same. Imagine that. That sounds like a Yelp review if I ever seen one. Don't take your business over here. I had a terrible experience, and don't you take your ass in there either. And I've sat in the car and been like, well, we might should go somewhere else real quick because there's literally people talking to me through the screen telling me that I be a fool to cross the threshold. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, fuck with them at all.
Fucking for real, dog. Like, YB said it's a bunch of bullies losing an argument, so let's just get loud and say a whole bunch of nothing, and that's really what it be. You just like to hear the sound of your voice. You're not saying nothing. You're not escalating. You're not moving the conversation forward. You're not adding anything insightful. You just want to make sure somebody.
You bickering and badgering, nagging. That's what Donald Trump did. And niggas is calling that bullying. Nagging and badgering is bullying these days. Man, all right. We got one more clip. This is, again, showing how bad Donald Trump is at navigating questions that is clear that he don't want to answer, you know, and how he gives such childish responses. This is the president of the United States, people. If anybody was because I've been saying Donald Trump is the greatest example of white privilege, like, ever in existence. If anybody was a DEI hire, based on the way that they contextualize that term, like being put in that position only because he's white, not because he has any merit, Donald Trump, these conversations are an example of how he is, by his definition, a DEI hire. This is why he shouldn't be here.
Mercy.
This is why he shouldn't occupy this power. Let's go.
Asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting.
Imagine English not being your first language and you sitting up there listening to this bullshit, trying to figure out if it's something you missed. Is this a euphemism? Is this some American shit?
Yeah. Right. Is that like an American thing? Like something about bathrooms that I'm just not getting? Bro, like, think about how childish this nigga said. What if anything happened? What if a bomb fall on your head right now? That's your approach to navigating a conversation about what if one of the main actors in this peace agreement that you're trying to establish, what if they don't abide by the agreement? What if anything? What if your mom falls down the stairs? This is this is qualified a diplomatic strategy. Where is the merit? Help me understand, please, because I'm being told that black people are being hired not because they're good, but because they're black. That disabled people are being hired by the FFA and causing accidents. That's what I'm being told.
That's what they're telling us.
But I'm listening to what a lot of people consider could be the linchpin of World War III.
And he up here hollering, trying to put World War III on Zelensky, nigga. You might be the reason. That's the part that blew me. Like, you're looking at him like he might be the person to dust it up. No, my guy, we're worried about you. We're worried about you.
A much bigger threat.
Fired all of everybody who was pushing the buttons for the motherfucker and figured out you had to bring someone back. Even shit like that.
Firing nuclear inspectors, filing Ebola response, and scientists and all this other shit. Like, what is happening? Not on top of all of the programs that have been cut and all of the research that they didn't got rid of by all the cuts that they did with USA. Like, come on, man. Like, come on, qualified my ass. I'll be damned. If I gotta be the only nigga that's on it. If I gotta be the only nigga that's like, no, every time y'all talk to us about qualifications, this is what we pointing to. You telling me this is qualified diplomacy right here.
TAC to BTC said Donald Trump and JD are DEI.
DEI hires, bro. Period.
Right,
Based on their definition. If y'all saying that somebody got hired because of the color of their skin, not because they could do the job, Donald Trump is the definition of a DEI hire. Stop playing.
Period. That's why I mean, like, the answer to a lot of people, and I'm gonna use some strategic language here, but when people were talking about, the president, maybe if he suffered a fate that was similar to other presidents and the fate that they suffered, or maybe the fate that he tried to orchestrate a couple months ago, if he succumbed to that, then things would be better. No, it wouldn't, because he's just a figurehead. It's a line of people miles long that would take his position in the process of succession and be worse at it and better at this than them. They're unelectable. They're not likable enough. They don't have a cold enough like personality to gain the momentum that we saw Trumpism get, which is why they're not on the front lines running against them, trying to take his spot, whatever. They're just not electable in comparison to. So they'll just go ahead and take a secondary, tertiary, 15th place position just to be in proximity to it, and they'll just be the feeder of ideas. They'll be the ones crunching the numbers and doing the critical thinking. They're the ones putting the battery in this nigga's back.
Yeah.
Hey, that's who they are. So we'll never see them, never know their names, but they let a plane crash happen. It'll be 11 more of them. It's like, it's my turn? I never thought. Watch Designated Survivor. I tell you all the time. Watch Designated Survivor on Netflix and see how the shit works.
Now, Toya, my last question.
DEI is forever, yeah.
Forever. We own it. Shit. I'm with all the smoke. That's crazy, right? DEI smoke. But the last question I have is, like, both of us, we have Afro pessimism in our ideological foundation. I mean, I'm speaking for you, but I feel like we would agree on the fact that regardless of whatever diplomatic efforts that Donald Trump was engaging in, or let's say a more qualified president would be engaging in, it would still be to the benefit of American imperialism, white nationalism, specifically in the United States. So we have an overall criticism of U.S. diplomacy and anti-blackness and imperialism and colonialism, like, that we stand on anyway. So I feel like we would both agree that even the more qualified diplomatic effort is be on bullshit. Yeah. It just look and sound better. I just want to make this clear, because it's this is a lot of it's a lot of conversation about, be like, oh, y'all talking about who we put in the FBI. I thought y'all didn't like the FBI.
Exactly.
Y'all talking about the CIA. Y'all mad that they put somebody unqualified in the CIA.
Come on and have scoffed at our conversations, because why are y'all even talking about this shit? We ain't supposed to care about none of that stuff about it. You don't care about none. They don't care about you. Why are you in here investing so much energy? We need to be talking about this. And it's like, okay.
Exactly. So, from your perspective, what is the significance given the fact that American diplomacy is imperialism and anti-blackness, period, what is the significance of criticizing the fact that Donald Trump suck at it?
Multiple things can be true at one time. The state is inevitable. The federal government is inevitable. My tax dollars are inevitable. Where they go, also inevitable to be towards some things that I don't support or don't appreciate. And so when those things are true, I think, right, I can understand where I orient my political energy, where I orient my life, where I orient my labor, where I find value in whom I found value with, and the types of people I want to surround myself around, and the ideal utopias that I try to create, or at least the kind of utopias in my own life. I think Scholar Todd May would call it specific intellectualism, where I do the work in the places where my work or life has situated me. And so in the world where I kind of understand the extent and the limitations of what I'm capable of, like I said, like I can have a toe invested in the things that influence my real life, because one wrong move and now sirens is going off in our communities and fallout shelters where I don't know where one is potentially, you know what I'm saying, some shit I got to be worried about. So I'm not ignorant enough about reality. I'm not willing to be ignorant enough about reality to kind of ignore the decisions he's making, the relationships he's building, the components of strategery he thinks he's engaging in. Like, I need to kind of keep a pulse on that for the sake of my own livelihood. But at the same time, I'm not so over invested in that shit that I'm not doing things that shape my real everyday reality and what it looks like. It's a combination. Like I said, in a world of inevitabilities, I too am inevitable. You know what I'm saying? I'm inevitable. Like, and if I believe that I have to move as though I'm moving with purpose and intent, as though, you know, my purpose here is understood and that I'm living it out and kind of doing the things around that. And so for me, education is these types of discussions, is gathering in more knowledgeable people, is sharing knowledge with people so that we can have the wokeness that has come to be customary with our experiences and keeping our head on swivel.
Nah, I'm with that. And to kind of like piggyback off that, because it's like, I feel like there are certain established narratives that when you call into question, niggas act like, you know, you talked about their mama. You feel me? It's like it's certain perspectives that we have that are like detrimental for us, but niggas think like, nah, that's just how it is type shit. You know what I mean? And the hypocrisy that we see with Donald Trump talking about people not being hired for merit and sucking at his own job is the evidence that that type of standard that they tell you should exist is a lie. All of it should be questioned. All of it. So yeah, I'll be like, okay, cool. You know, you got this nigga in the FBI that's now trying to get UFC fighters to train FBI agents. Whoa, okay, yes, I'm laughing at they silly asses. But at the same time, under the FBI standard, what merit does he have to occupy that position? Under the military standard, what merit does Pete Hesketh have to occupy that position? What merit exists there? None. And when that is the basis for undermining anti-discrimination efforts, that conversation matters. That don't mean that I'm defending the FBI. Yeah, it still fuck the FBI. It still fuck the CIA. It still fuck COINTELPRO. Right? It still fuck the prison industrial complex. In every shape, form, and fashion. That's why I still fuck ICE. Nigga. Mm-hmm. Yeah. it's fuck like that's what we standing on. So if like with that framework, I can still recognize that you ain't even playing by your own rules.
Come on.
While you talking about making shit fair and making it more merit based to where everybody got an opportunity, you not even playing by your own rules. And anybody that's willing to listen to somebody talk to them like that and lie to them like that and really play with them in their face the way that conservatives play with this DEI shit. And we looking at this is how you handle global geopolitical diplomacy. Yeah, this is how you do that. JD Vance in there looking like a petulant child, looking like a triggered old white man in a Facebook comment section.
Never been more concerned about a vice president. Like, bro, imagine if you had to jump in that seat today. Like, shambles. Worse. Bro, and I won't say worse, but a different type of tragic from this nigga. Like, all right,
bro, I'm telling you, nigga talking about. Oh, you need to be thankful, bro. In real life, I could need that $10. I can need it, bro, and hit a nigga up and be like, hey, let me buy it, bro. You need to be thankful though. Be like, man, keep your funky ass $10, my nigga.
I'm good.
Keep your funky ass $10. I'm gonna go hungry. I'm gonna go hungry before I take a dime from yo. You know what I'm saying? Like, but when we think about
behind it, bro, I'm somebody. Zelensky is somebody,
and that's what I'm saying. Because when you think about what Zelensky is willing to stand on, and the implications and the type of dominoes that can fall, like we dealing with a jackass. Yeah. But we live in a day and age where his jackassery is being hailed as, you know what I'm saying, a bully diplomacy. For American first diplomacy. And it's like if American first is looking like a jackass, cool, y'all got it. I'll call it American first diplomacy. Straight up. But that was the first conversation we wanted to have with y'all. This next conversation is a bit of an extension of that. Toya, you can go ahead and take off from there.
Shout out to THC to BTC, Tyler, YB Speaks for definitely jumping in, chiming in, you know, showing love, said well said in terms of us just kind of getting into the breakdown of this. But all of, you know, what we've seen in, oh yeah, and by the way, of course, make sure you chiming in, talking to us. YB said this is a perfect example of American racism literally trumping practicality. Like, just you just love it so much. It's the insatiability of anti-blackness, which then becomes a magnifier for all of the other types of racial violence and racial investments and racial capitalism that we see. It's all tethered to all of that shit. Just the inability to let niggas have things. It's really kind of wild. And so whether you have created niggas out of international beings, whether you have, you know, looked at niggas in this country, whether you decided to niggify people who have grappled with the border or finagled your border, it is the affinity of anti-blackness that really shapes all of that shit. It just, they're all appendages of the same thing. And all of it trumps practicality, no pun intended. I agree.
Nah, pun definitely intended. Fuck that. Man. Pun definitely intended.
Hit the thumb, hit that subscribe so that y'all can stick around and finish thing. Definitely glad to have fucking the conversation. Here's where I want to go with it. Listen, everything you just talked about, all the examples that we've given, all the conversations we had in prior shows, definitely YB says, amen, thanks for your platform, and these important conversations is love, and we appreciate y'all being in here too. All of these conversations we get to come to have together, they're nice to talk through. You know, I just talked about how important that is, you know, in terms of the process and being a realist and understanding how the world is moving and functioning right now. But I still be shook as hell. I'm sorry. It's like every time I hear something new, every time I hear about all these federal layoffs, every time I hear about, you know, decisions about birthright citizenship, and one judge is saying this, and now they doubling down and going back to the courts about some shit, and you're like, oh, I thought that was fixed, and it's like, no, not necessarily. They in it for a long haul. We looking at these grocery prices. Your gas keep creeping up. My gas now creeping up.
My wife just came back from the grocery store. Eggs is $12
for 12 of them.
A dozen eggs is $12.
Here we go, right? Measles, people dying from that. Let's talk about it. Oh yeah, somebody
tuberculosis.
LA, come on, man.
In Kansas City, it's like a tuberculosis crisis going on right now.
Bro, somebody left LAX with measles and came down here. Let me tell y'all about me. And by down here, I mean to Orange County. Like, left LAX and came to Orange County. People are saying if you was in LAX on like February 17th from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m., you might have measles. Crazy shit. Right, so it's nuts, and on it goes. Department of Education, Social Security Administration being targeted,
Medicaid.
And so much like us in the we're learning a lot of language and vocabulary here, and I love this as an aside because, you know, we had a conversation about Democrats and how their language is more academic in terms of describing what's happening in the world, and so people, you know, who are uneducated may not be attracted to that. Look, y'all gonna have to learn these terms now, goddamn. So you can really spend time learning what they are now. That way you're not shook at election.
But you know, niggas be mad about that shit though. Like niggas be sitting there like, damn, it's always something new. It's always a new. Get over it, my nigga. Yes, it's always something new. That means that we're learning. That means we're growing, we're evolving. If there are different ways to describe different phenomena, that means that we've developed our understanding of that phenomenon. And what do UEP say about power? Power is the ability to define a phenomenon and make it act in a particular manner, period. So that means that everything that, like, labels are a reflection of power. If we are able to shape the labels that are used socially, that is a function of power in the United States. That's why the use of the word nigga is powerful in the ways that we can shape who can and who can't say it and receive social and economic and employment based disadvantages by utilizing it. That shit is powerful.
Not to mention how important it is to have a grammar for something, because if there's no grammar, there's no language, there's no articulatability of a particular thing, then you can't name it, which means you can't resolve it, you can't study it, you can't understand it, which means you can't overcome it. This is a huge reason about why Black scholars talk about the inarticulability, the inarticulable nature of the Black experience. It's so unique, it's so profound, it's situated in such a unique way. Part of the reason why it does not manifest or resonate itself to the ears of white people, to non-Black people, to individuals who can attend to the abuse of animals or attend to the abuse of the ocean or they can understand that shit because there's a vocabulary around it, but there's such a unique nature, the unique nature of anti-Black violence, right, that does not even allow it a grammar of suffering. So when a grammar is rendered to something, it might be important to start to pay attention to it, to take the time to unpack then the etymology of it, the understanding of it, the manifestations of it, how it materializes, and how it could be influencing your real life. So I say that because we talked about oligarchies, right, or oligarchies, depending on how you pronounce it, just a few weeks ago, and talking about the ruling class and how they seem to be the most influential people of our governing body, and how that's been the case for eras and generations,
and how dangerous that fucking is for poor people,
and how dangerous it is, right? So the Elon Musk, the fact that who's your boy Jeff Bezos is talking about the Washington Post, which is basically about to be a defunct source, because he says now all opinion pieces have to be of a libertarian orientation, that he's literally going to personally edit the editorials to make sure that the shit that it winds up in that newspaper is in line with his political perspectives. And so the new word that I need you all to open up your vocabulary and your lexicon for is fascism, right? It's not new. You probably learned about it when you were in school, learning about things like communism, other forms of governing systems. Like, what was the other ones? It was fascism. It was Mussolini. What did he do? He did some other shit.
I think Mussolini was a fascist.
Okay, so it was a couple other
totalitarianism.
Yeah. But I'm forgetting one. Stalinism. Right, there were all these different kind of names for how people were deciding to organize and govern countries, especially during the world wars, and as the world became more developed and organized in ways that allowed for everything from individualism to globalism. Fascism was specifically something that we looked at. We've seen it, mostly with the Holocaust, and we're also seeing it very vividly right now. We in the throes of it, in the thick of it. And so I guess before I even get deep into what fascism is and why we should be concerned about it and why I'm worried about our responses to it, let me ask you this, Plug, because you're the political plug.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. As the political plug, on a scale of unbothered, like we're gonna be all right, we can just kind of hold our breath like we did, because that's what we did through Trump 1. Why we held our breath. From a scale of that to concerned as fuck, I don't even know if it's gonna be another election. This shit is crumbling fast. How do you feel?
I don't think it's crumbling fast, but I think it's crumbling. Because I think we're starting to enter into the era that is amenable to fascism. And it's that era that lays the foundation for the normalization of fascism moving forward. And so while I think that and because I not to get ahead of the conversation, because I think that when you look at what happened in like Nazi Germany, for example, like there was a softening on the types of attitudes and the types of rhetoric for the benefit of the German people. Like they were salty that their economy was in the trash because of the money they had to pay in World War I. They were vindictive, they were angry, and so vindictive, angry leaders kind of matched that affect. You know what I'm saying? They match that energy. And so what's happened is if we compare that to the United States, it's like white people just because of their like white privilege, not even because, because they say equity and equality is oppression to oppressors. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So like they're entering, like white people today and just anybody with certain semblances of privilege today are entering into a place where they feel like they're like, because like more identity categories and more ways of understanding the world are opening up. People who had traditional privileges is like, hold on, wait a minute. Like, it's what's happening right now. Like, I no longer can be homophobic. I can no longer be xenophobic. Like, wait, I can't call them illegal aliens. They are. They're illegal. I can't call them illegal aliens. That's what they are, right?
They're foreigners in here, so they're aliens.
Yeah, right. So it's like, forget the growth and progress and human rights conversations and how people should be treated, and and having a greater understanding of humanity. Nah, I want to be able to call people the F word, the FAGs. I want to be able to call shit gay. What do you mean I can't do that? I want to be able to say bitches and, you know what I'm saying, refer to people like and I don't want nobody to be able to tell me I'm wrong in that.
Right.
And because the standard of how people should be treated is raising, the people who want to treat people like shit feel oppressed. That's where we are. And that type of that type of anger is what makes them amenable to leaders who make fascism possible. Because the Germans was cool because they wasn't getting ran down on. Oh, it's that Jewish deli that was taking money from my deli. That's like, they running down on them. That ain't got nothing to do with me.
Right.
That's popping off on them. But you see, now you starting to see all of these Trump voters that's looking up after they done got fired and like, damn, I voted for him. I didn't think when he was talking about the people that he was gonna get back at, I didn't think I was gonna be one of them people.
I was watching a TikTok of a woman who works with like an older white man who could be coming there with his Trump clothes on, and they don't be, telling him he can't do that. They don't be like trying to infringe on him because they don't want the fight. You know what I'm saying? They don't want the battle. And so
First Amendment and all that.
Exactly, right. So they let him get his shit off, but then he found out that they was like doing layoffs, so like downsizing and basically getting rid of some employees. And they was basically trying to force him to go retake some tests and get evaluated to see, because he had been there for like 19, 20 years, see if his skill set was still sharp. And so many words saying, my nigga, you old, you know what I'm saying? We think about moving on past you, this, that, and the other. He was just so, messed up about it. And what really tore him up the most, she said, that really shut him up and he ain't had shit to say for the rest of the day. She said he'd been silent for a week, was that they had to tell him, you rah for Trump and anti-DEI. Go look up what DEI really, the people it defends, right? This type of programming.
It'll protect your old ass.
It'll protect your old ass.
It will protect your old ass.
You was going to get your own interest because, nigga, you aging out. They looking for young, new talent. They looking for reasons to get rid of you and don't got to explain shit to you today. They decided to let you go.
You want to know why I told you?
And the results can come back and say anything. You can say you are the sharpest knife in the set, and they can still tell your ass,
you too old.
You don't know.
Yeah.
We think you still got to go ahead and move around. And ain't shit you can do to fight back about it, because they just get to decide, because that's the world that you want to live in. Because
it's because they think that DEI is just race.
Yeah.
That's it. They think diversity is just race. Like, no, nigga, anyway. But that's a part of that logic. But yeah, so that's it's all good and dandy when you align with what I think and what I believe. But what we're then willing to make excuses for in order to empower those people is what makes fascism possible in the first place. So I feel like it's a slow burn. You know what I mean?
So we not off the deep end yet.
Nah, we're gonna have another. I'm not the type of nigga that think Donald Trump is not politically savvy enough to be able to undermine the entire Constitution. I don't. Yeah, this is gonna be his last term, and he's gonna leave.
I got a follow-up question to that question. So, but real quick, the comments say democratic socialism is what the people need. And I learned a lot about governing and all the isms, surprisingly, while playing the game Civilization, which I feel like I've heard of before, but never played. So something to potentially get into if you want a little, fun way to learn about the world history, or modern history and how the world is organized. Mm-hmm. So you are of the perception that there is more to be done to get to fascism, right? That we have the workings of it, we have the foundational pieces of it, that things are shaping up to potentially go in that direction, but that you feel like there are some flaws in it. And in that reality, when you say that, I have been very contemplative about this thing called fascism, and we're going to play this video to really explain what that concept is and whether or not we've actualized it. But I become kind of reluctant to fall in line with your perspective on it, largely because fascism, and I this was a conversation I also saw on TikTok, but it is the idea that fascism is not an event. Just like settler colonialism wasn't an event. Slavery wasn't like, dang, slaves are here, slaves are sold, right? It was the perpetuation of centuries of, mistreatment and thickening of systems and calcifications of norms and all types of weird shit and expansions and wars and all types of shit. Like, it wasn't one time thing. It was over and over again. Settler colonialism is happening right now today. This is where we get to Gulf of Mexico, that's being called Gulf of America, Panama Canal, Greenland, all this type of shit, right? So I hear what you're saying, but I'm reluctant because I think the notion, like, and I saw this in a conversation in the TikTok where it was this video where kids were playing on a playground that had been constructed in Palestine, near rubble, right next to rubble, right? So fascism is happening, right? Control and rule is happening, and right next to that, life is also happening. Play is happening, right there. So there's not like this moment. They've been through moments that have been demonstrative of the fact that fascism is here, and life has gone on alongside it, right? It has looked different every single day. For us, every day like kind of looks different. Our news feeds, our timelines look a little bit different. But I think the scary thing is when you have people buy into this idea that escalation, you know what I'm saying? Because I think when you look at fascism, you have to understand it like cancer. There are stages of it, but treatment is necessary at all of those stages. And the likelihood of being able to navigate it is about the ability to be responsive to, for example, stage 1, right? Being detectable, doing the types of things that allow for you to understand what it is before it spreads and becomes malignant. What does malignancy means? It means that tumor has now spread through your body and it starts to affect other organs, other components that necessitate sustainability of life. And so, like, I think a huge problem, and I'm gonna get to what yesterday was and my connection to these boycotts from yesterday, but I really feel like if we start to understand what fascism is, A, and B, that fascism is not an event, but it's a regular occurrence, and C, that looking at it as an event is a recipe for our disaster and demise, that we might be in a position, hopefully uniquely now, to be responsive to this shit. So real quick, breaking down what fascism is, I just kind of like this video, got no necessary affinity for this particular guy, except for I like his quick and easy explanation for what it is.
All right.
What is fascism? Most requested series. Well, according to scholars like Umberto Eco, Robert Paxton, and Jason Stanley, fascism is a cult of the leader. It's a style of politics rather than a form of government. It's a form of ultranationalism, obsessed with the idea of national rebirth and the restoration of lost national strength and honor. It's characterized by anti-globalism, a rejection of feminism, socialism, and homosexuality. It creates in-groups and out-groups, and it feeds off of conspiracy theories, resulting in a death cult led by a charismatic male leader, in the form of an ideologically inconsistent and unprincipled opportunist who plays on popular emotions and fears and comes to power against the backdrop of
quick
political
and dirty
gridlock
explanation
and the failure of liberal
what
governance. Make sure you follow
fascism
for
is, and
part
all
two.
of it sounds very familiar in the context of what the United States is and the way that the ground has been kind of laid, or the path has been laid for a Donald Trump type to rise to fame, right? At the end of that video, he talks specifically about the political gridlock and how those moments are the perfect opportunity for individuals to kind of sneak in and slide in and rise to power in a world where there are so many vulnerabilities that exist. And so thinking about Eco Umberto, that author, right, he kind of identifies 4 specific components of fascism in the book that he wrote, which is, I think, is how to spot fascism or how to identify fascism, something like that. And the 4 components he talked about, and I want to just know if these sound familiar to you. First of which is like you mentioned, the cult of tradition, which Eco Umberto describes it as an attempt to take multiple traditions and make something new out of them, right? So to hearken upon multiple former realities or multiple like theories or logics of what American history is, for example, and to kind of tie and suture them together and package them as something new. This is why, there's a very clear attempt to separate what Trump is and who he is from every other president before. There are no comparisons, right? There is no side by side. This is what it's like. It's all about being innovative, but all of it is about again. Don't forget, it's America great again, right? So it's this hearkening upon of, an attempt to do something great before, but these misfires, right? And if we kind of kibosh and put these things together and mix them up, because they didn't let Indians, be a part of their group. So we're gonna allow some brown people in, just not all of them, right? They didn't allow any of these types of people in their group. So if they didn't allow any women to speak, so we're gonna have some women peppered into what we do. So it's different. Right, but it very much harkens on to the legacies of tradition, or what they thought made the American dream or American politics good. The second thing that Echo Umberto talks about is the rejection of modernity, and this is kind of what the video was getting at when they talked about kind of these are why you have such heavy-handed rejections of things like the LGBTQ community. Right, you have such heavy rejections of things like science as it relates to everything from gender to like disease control, right? Like all of these things are being pushed back against, because if I want to really hearken upon the olden days, right, then all of these new conventions, all of these switches, all these changes in language, all this call you this, call you that, all this pronoun shit, I'm not doing all of that. Right, all of that is a ruse for progress. All of that is a distraction from the real work, which is to obviously line the pockets of billionaires. All of it's a distraction from the real work, is to labor and to work and contribute to the system. All of it is a distraction from you carrying out the agenda that we want you to carry out. Component number 4, from Echo Umberto's perspectives about how to identify fascism, talks about the cult of action for action's sake. And oh my God. Right?
That's what's happening right now.
Listen.
That's what's happening right now.
When you hear cult of action for action's sake, give me your first meaningful connection or example of that.
The war on DEI.
Okay.
Getting rid of all the DEI policies. Because it's doing something. Because it's like what the question that I was posing to people that was like, yeah, this is a good thing because of whatever about DEI, right? And so the first question that I had is like, okay, who does it benefit? Mm-hmm. Getting rid of offices and positions that are based in anti-discrimination efforts, because if DEI is anything outside of an acronym, it's an ideology behind anti-discrimination efforts within organizations. Period. That's all it is. So getting rid of it helps whom? Who does that benefit? It's an action. He's doing things. But who is it helping? Doge, Elon Musk.
Come on.
All the things that they're cutting.
More specifically.
All the things that they cutting, right? Yeah, we're getting rid of this. We're getting rid of that. Why are they having to go back and rehire people? Because they was doing shit just to say they was doing shit, but they wasn't thinking through the actual action itself.
Exactly. So the thing about the cult of action for action's sake, and the reason why it becomes so mesmerizing to people who kind of fall into that cult, is that it is like very muchly we have a plan, and if they see us doing things, they'll follow us. They want to see action. They want to see movement. And so if we're able to show them that, they are able to fall in line with action where they see stagnancy, right? This is the whole reason why this is the perfect antidote to political gridlock, because as long as people see traffic moving along, then everything must be sweet. But This is where it encourages anti-thinking, like, okay, if we do all of this shit, if we fire all these people, we won't have people protecting our nuclear weapons. If we fire these people, we won't have people to do this work. If we do these types of things, it won't work this way. So they have a lot of oopsies, a lot of redos, a lot of this, that, and the other. Furthermore, action for action's sake is the reason why we see such an anti-intellectual approach to institutions. Because you're spending too much time fucking thinking. Y'all pondering over too much shit. You're intellectualizing over it. You're sitting and thinking about shit that's very obvious. It's a man or a woman, and that's pretty much it. So the more that you think, the more that you invest in that trades off with action, which means that now you're not being efficient. You're being slow, right? And if we appear to be slow, then we can't, wave the gold watch to mesmerize and hypnotize people into looking like we're actually doing something that we're not doing, right? So it comes at a cost, right? We can't think, we have to do. And if we're not doing that, it undercuts our particular goal and mission. The fourth kind of component of fascism that Eco Umberto talks about is dissent. The idea that dissent is betrayal, right? Which is par excellence, the attempt to silence journalism, to silence the university, to quiet the free speech, you know, and the First Amendment rights that individuals have, or to very selectively choose when they can rise to the top. So this is, again, why there can be no criticism. This is another reason to be intellectual for universities, because what do we know? Things exist, and then critique exists. This is where you get, you know what I'm saying, some of those humanities departments. This is where you get liberal arts. This is where you get the ability to really take and enhance things that we've recognized the imperfections in. They don't want any of that shit, because they feel like that is the deepest level of treason that you can commit against your leader, is to dissent away from their decision.
And it's okay. So, so I
yeah, I don't know what just happened to you.
Nah, I just knocked over some paper towels. But but so this is where I say the foundation, because I think there's a contention in that's always been a part of the American political hypocrisy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is the principles of democracy, it's the principles of a republic, it is the principles of like the people having a voice in government, even to the point where, like, when you say that we are or that fascism, that a basis of fascism is getting rid of dissent, or the problem with dissent, but America itself was established off of dissent. Like, Americans are the most dissenting motherfuckers. But
right.
But the contention, here's where the contention lies, is that, and this is where we all kind of have, I say we all, but like Americans, and how we're socialized, have these proclivities towards fascism because of how, regardless of what side of the aisle you're having a political conversation, dissent to the individuals on that side of the aisle leads to you automatically being placed in the out group. For example, when Joe Biden was first elected, my TikTok is full of me cooking his ass from day one,
right,
to up until more. So I kind of eased off during the election time, because you know, it was niggas was like, Donald Trump go, man, like, fuck no, I couldn't contribute to that. Yeah, I couldn't contribute to that. But what I consistently faced as a leftist, as a black political leftist, I was consistently called a Trump supporter because I'm critical of Joe Biden. Because I made content against Joe Biden immediately. Oh, so you just vote for Donald Trump then? Oh, he must be a Trump supporter. See, that's what these Trump supporters be saying. I'm like, bitch, I'm the furthest thing from a Trump supporter. What is you talking about? But because I had the gall to, as a leftist, call out a liberal politician, I immediately get placed in the out group. So then we get closer to the election, and I think that Joe Biden is a better candidate than Donald Trump. Immediately, I'm a Democrat. So immediately I get placed in another out group, because amongst black political conversation these days, Democrat is a out group. Okay, it is not. Being called a Democrat is a slur in 2025.
It's very disrespectful. Please don't.
Very. You know what I'm saying? And so it like that's why I say it's a slow burn, because as our proclivity for fascism becomes more and more like the traditional forms we've seen, you know what I mean? And because like 2025, the world looks so different from what shit came from. You feel me? And so I think that, like, I think there are aspects of fascism that aren't necessarily associated with our government. Like, I think capitalism breeds fascism. Like, it's like the oligarchies we deal with in the United States is an example of like a type of fascist control based around bread.
That's the tool. I think the apparatus of control.
Yeah. So that's why I say it's like a, you know, before we get to the dictator, like, proper, you know what I mean? We still got a lot of steps to go. And it start, because I think, and this is where I may just, like, my appreciation for politics may just, like, kind of clash with some more of my radical positions, is that I think from an ideological standpoint, the Constitution as a document has the capacity to be able to be the safeguard from fascism. Like, I mean, because, you know, Hitler was only was a fascist to the Jews. If he was a German, hey, he had your back.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think we existed more in that type of environment, because we do have some political processes in place. Now I feel like they're starting to become undermined, though. That's why I think it's a process, because they are starting to be undermined in a lot of ways. Like, the Supreme Court is undermined heavily because it doesn't have diverse voices. You know what I mean? It heavily leans one way. Same thing we have, like they don't have a supermajority, but Republicans control. We have a Republican-controlled government right now, like across all three major branches, which creates kind of like it creates a type of inequity that is based in one particular ideology. And so that's why I say it's a process. I'm not saying that the Constitution is like the end all be all and it could never happen, but it what's happening now creates the possibility to undermine the Constitution in ways that will make a dictator proper possible, if that makes sense.
Okay. It does. It does. One of the things that you said, I really kind of want to go back to as we pivot toward, I think, the bottom part of what I wanted to get into for today. And I guess the specific thing you said was talking about capitalism being an appendage of fascism, like very muchly being the apparatus by which fascism can be practiced. I think it is the most direct way. That's equal opportunity. Like, I'm not an immigrant, I was born in Missouri, so like I can experience fascism in the form of DEI. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can still afford eggs. I'm very frustrated about having to pay for them, but in terms of like the poverty that has been kind of doubled down on in this country, right, through a lot of these policies, like some of it I will feel, but not all of it, right? But I think the equal way. So like just plenty of other examples, right? I don't think that my job is in danger because of DEI speculation. Like, cool. Capitalism is hurting everybody, right? Capitalism affects everybody. So maybe my egg example isn't so great because I'm still a consumer and I don't want to pay the bullshit even though I can. So I'm still being victimized. I'm still being bullied through capitalism. And so my mind harkens to yesterday, right? There was an economic blackout. There was a international, by the way, because Canadians even participated in it. It was like, we're not buying no American products. Mexicans participated in it and didn't buy no American products. It was a lot of other people from other countries who decided not to buy things. Now, the terms and conditions of the blackout were no corporate purchases, no DoorDash, no Target, none of no places, and only to support local businesses and to use cash at those locations, right? And so I saw some promising TikToks. It was like women, like it was a lady who was walking through Walmart, like, baby, the 6 o'clock club usually be in here jerking. Our everyday people usually be in here with these owls full. Ain't nobody in here. It was a ghost town. And I want to say this was like in the South, maybe in like Houston or something like that, or the Atlanta area. Like, we've seen the examples of Target feeling the pinch even before yesterday, and how everything from their stock quality to their stockholders to their views on social media plummet and shit like that. So the boycotts happen. I want to know from you before I get where I'm going. I want to know from you. I want to know from the chat, the boycotts. Did you participate? Did you feel like they were meaningful or productive? What was your take on it? Because I've seen a lot of shit. I've seen people saying do the boycotts, posting about it, being informative about it, being supportive of it. I also seen people do everything from berate it and criticize it, call it dumb as fuck, say I'm intentionally going to go buy me a TV today. Oh, this shit is stupid. People are going to go shop tomorrow. Y'all shopped yesterday. These people don't give a fuck. These corporations don't give a shit. Like, this is all dumb. So what's your take? What's your vibe? People in the chat, please talk to me. How did y'all look at the blackout from yesterday?
Dev in
the building, my bro. What's good? Devin, what's up?
What's cracking, Dev? So this is why you be getting on my nerves sometimes, though, because I'm tapped in. You know what I'm saying? I'm fighting for woke. It's a lot of people that's trying to turn woke and DEI and all these terms into negative things, and I think that I'm investing in I'm a part of the movement to defend the the epistemic basis of these things and keeping them connected. And keeping them connected.
I'll ask you a specific question.
But here's the thing. I have a natural aversion to like social media shit. And so I will never be the nigga. I'll never be a nigga like Let me get it out. I
didn't say a word to you, baby. I'm holding my head up because you make me weary sometimes. So I'm gonna hold myself up when I can't.
All right. I'm gonna stop beating around the bush. Did I participate? No. I definitely ordered DoorDash. I definitely used my card all day, right? But again, to be fair, it's because I wasn't aware of the rules. And so I didn't.
When in doubt, nigga, go hard the other way. Like, I wasn't aware of the rules. Don't buy nothing.
But I I'm not going to criticize the actual thing. I'm not going to, like, y'all, yeah, get it. I'm proud that y'all did it. If it was stores that was empty, for sure. You feel me? I'm not going, like, any movement against capitalism, I'm going to encourage. I'll never be like, this shit is dumb, this shit is pointless. I thought the people that during the Palestinian shit was like, oh, since y'all talking about don't vote for Kamala, I'm gonna go give me some Starbucks. I thought that shit was wild. You know what I'm saying?
Never say here we go, because we finna disagree, and I'm finna go ahead. Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, I just feel like those social media moments don't do it for me. And so it's like, since I'm not connected like that, like I don't feel myself as a part of, you know what I mean, that whole shit. But I never stand in his way though. Like I never openly criticize it and be like, oh, this shit is dumb. I just, yeah.
You ain't doing that shit.
I mean, I didn't even.
What you say?
I mean, I'm not saying I'm not doing it. It's because there's certain things that I am willing to do. But it's just like, because I keep a certain distance from trending shit. I keep a certain distance from trending shit, to where it's like, by the time it's happening, like I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know this was the
specifically
thing.
trending shit is in social media shit. So tell me about the civil rights channel that you be watching that allows for us to learn it, because you don't want to see the shit on social media. You are just like, social media, my phone, my timeline. Get this shit out of here. So tell me, what channel do you watch? Is it a channel? Is it a radio station? You have Sirius. Where the fuck do you get? Where will you be inspired enough to be a part of a movement? That's what I want to hear from you, based on what you said. What channel? What is it?
It's just not. It's just, I'm not a. I guess it's like when it would take a lot. It would take a lot. I ain't gonna lie. Like, it would take.
Fair. That's fair. I'm gonna keep the conversation moving, because the comments. Devin said it was a movement. However, when we can't all stand together, we're gonna keep falling. I'm gonna come back to Devin's comment, because I agree. Peaches said, absolutely, I want the corporations to get a taste of what's to come. Exactly, right? Like, people not thinking long game, they thinking short game, and so I feel like people was being real narrow minded about it. They stood on big business for 381 days. Like, the Palestinian protest was not. It was a beautiful thing to see, because it was some people who just said it was a lie and you went past it, and I got to let you know some shit. You know what I'm saying? And I think that is where the inspiration was. Terrell, shout out to Terrell for being in the building. Another person. We got two of my favorite Terrells in the same place, and so that's always amazing. Terrell Taylor said, I participated, but folks got to understand the civil rights movement bus boycotts required a lot more than just moving money. Folks were arranging rides and creating alternatives, so it's not so simple to just jump in there and boycott some shit without basically an replacement for things that are necessary and needed. I agree with that, right? I agree with a lot of things, but here is the take on a lot of shit that I saw yesterday, and that I really want to bring to your mind, especially in light of fascism and the conversation we having about fascism, and me standing by the fact that fascism is not an event. Right, it's a microcosm of small decisions, small movements, microaggressions at your job, political decisions being made, news that you never hear about. It's an assortment of those things. If you recall, when we ended up outside of the election, what was everybody's favorite jab? Y'all suck at group projects. Y'all are terrible at doing things as a unit. Y'all find unique opportunities to fracture and fragment off and go do a whole bunch of weird.
I've been saying Democrats cannibalize their own for years.
This is what I'm saying. Even outside of that, what I feel like was yesterday was another example, and it was an opportunity for motherfuckers who got the election wrong to get right. It's an opportunity for them to start to and I'm not saying it was gonna fix everything. Here's what I'm saying. Yesterday, I started really looking at it, because I agree. What is a blip on the radar for one day gonna do for these corporations? What are these? Because they're even more scheduled, right? There is a boycott scheduled for months, for days throughout the next 6 months. I saw a little schedule for it. So there's planning and strategy there. But what is the point of this? And from my perspective, outside of corporate bottom lines, this shit wasn't really about them. It was about us. It was an opportunity for us to look around and take stock for a minute to see, did we figure it out that we got to be on the same page about some shit? Can some people not talk shit? Because I know for a fact back in the civil rights day, everybody wasn't like, stop buying shit that we need. Yeah. Stop taking the easy way to work and wake up hours early. Fuck with it. But they had to make some decisions that today, we just all on that shit. I'm just annoyed. I'm frustrated. I'm inconvenienced. but we all on that same shit. And I feel like this was a chance for us to tap in and get right what we couldn't get right in November, and motherfuckers failed with flying colors. I'm gonna go buy a TV and stuff. Like, you just not with shit. You don't try for shit. And so how I'm supposed to believe in the context of the civil rights movement? Because people was like, this one day ain't gonna do nothing. The civil rights movement took months. It took but this many days and whatever. Nigga, you can't do one. I'm supposed to believe you down for the multiple.
No, that's a fact.
One day niggas told you not to buy something and told you just to sit tight. Let's look around and take inventory to see if we can actually lock arms. This is why I don't believe niggas gonna be able to overcome fascism. This is why the event, fuck the event, you can't do the day to day. There is no so the big apex event that's coming, to me, we missing vibe checks. Like, people will never be collectively on the same page enough to actually make it, because it's always going to be some naysayers, some people who got to do the opposite, antagonists for the sake of being antagonists. And I think that's the fear that I have about just downright hardcore nihilism and pessimism, is that the shit gets you nowhere. You feel like it don't.
It's debilitating.
Man. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy like a motherfucker. Like, I'm not even saying be romanticize any of these movements. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know the Waltons is doing they fine. They didn't miss a meal today and will not for generations. I understand that, but we need to prove to ourselves. I would have loved a moment, because before I let people start pissing in my Cheerios looking through the shit, I really was like, man, people really out here on some shit. I done got a couple little stream text messages. I done been seeing shit. In my mind, I was like, I'm in a community that's and then I started thinking about it, these people, oh,
you just didn't look in the comment sections yet. You just wasn't in the comments.
I wasn't.
That's all it
just
was.
really seeing the criticisms of it and being like, man, motherfuckers really not on the same type of timing as I am. I'm making a commitment, but the amount of people who are really on the same brain length and wavelength is few and far between, and that was so humbling for me. It was triggering for me. It took me back to a couple months ago when I was walking my dog in my community. Who the fuck did you vote for? What the fuck was you doing yesterday? What conclusion did you come to? You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at everybody sideways, bro.
Yeah. No, I've been doing that.
Are you just fucked up like I am? Who are you behind what you are able to do behind the curtain? You feel me? Because the shit don't matter. It was never about them corporations. It was a vibe check on us, and we continue to fail. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, no,
but that's why I'm like, we have been seeing this really. It started in 2016 when the conversation was more about the 90s crime bill and Hillary Clinton and everything else, instead of the brash, racist, you know what I'm saying, misogynistic, everything just wrong with Donald Trump. We there was things that, because niggas wanted to be a part of the counterculture. Obama had made liberalism mainstream, moderate liberalism. It was just in too many phases. Too many people was okay with it. Too many people accepted it, and so niggas wanted to be different. So it's fuck Democrats and fuck this, and this is why I say this election was an example of, when it comes to being a part of the counterculture, when it comes to resisting shit, we've lost the plot entirely.
Come on.
That's why I agree with you that it's happening. The process is happening. We're in the middle of it. We're seeing the excuses for and the justifications for, when black people, the people who whether or not, because people say they benefit, white women benefit the most from DEI, but with a lot of the research that I've done is the modern notions and understandings of how we evaluate DEI success doesn't adequately address who benefits, right? The way that we talk about it now. But black people will sit and look at anti-discrimination efforts that came out of the civil rights movement, that were at the basis of the black struggle in the United States, and turn around and allow a racist white man, who people will have no problem admitting is racist, and allow him to tell you that I'm getting rid of these policies because it's an example of anti-white racism, and niggas will be like, that makes sense. Our minds have been primed for race, or fascism, straight up. Yeah. We're marching in that direction. Now, I'm not of the oh my God, Donald Trump ain't leaving office type mentality. I'm not with that type of, you know what I'm saying, quote unquote fear mongering. But I am of the belief that we are making it more and more possible You know what I mean? As we honestly, as our political maturation deteriorates, we making it more and more possible for fascist leaders, for totalitarianism. Like we sit back and we allow the some of the most detrimental messages to us, and we defend them.
Yeah.
We argue for them. We attach ourselves to them so we can be different. Until niggas end up like them white people that got fired from their federal jobs because Donald Trump ain't worried about you. I mean, even poor white people. Fuck niggas. We got poor white people. We can't even call them the petite bourgeoisie, but they stand for the capitalists, like the Elon Musks of the world, the Mark Zuckerbergs of the more. They are okay with sitting back and allowing them to dictate how the government function when they was never elected. The people never decided we was okay with Elon Musk dictating who keeps their job and who don't.
Mm-hmm.
But we sitting back and allowing it happen.
Letting it happen.
Yeah, so it's like
I don't know. We look at countries like France and shit. I always look at them just because they always burning up shit and pissing in the street, and I'm just like, man, when we gonna turn up, bro? Like, when are we gonna really? Like, a lot of people are like doing things, changing they tax forms and like filing is it 999 some shit. Right, not to pay federal taxes no more. And I'm just like, is that the wave? If that's what we doing, just tell me that. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell me something. I will say, Peach is kind of biting back against my characterization that we failed, and I respect it, right? Because their perspective is, I don't think we failed. We're doing well, and in that regard, there are other. It's what I guess is being called the economic blackout tour. So maybe we missed the first practice, but we can get our second practice up. It looks like, and I don't know. Here's the thing: I also don't know who's organizing these boycotts because these are just random kind of memes or emojis that I'm seeing. Like, and I've seen the same one around everywhere, but I don't know who's originating it. I don't know who's calling it. And that's probably for the best, right? You don't want to, localize the movement too much. You want to keep it decentralized so that you can't smother it out, you can't snuff it out, which is what they would love to do.
You can't target the leaders. You can't chop the head off the snake.
Also means we can't falsify, verify, critique, contribute suggestions to this, that, and the other. So take that as you will. But at this point, like, I don't even know, because just keep your money in your pocket is a good strategy. I don't give a fuck what it is. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. So that being said, it looks like it's very muchly like a deconstructed corporate boycott. And I say that to say they just called it overall economic blackout on February 28th. But the next one is coming up on March 7th through 14th. March 7th through 14th. And that's supposed to be the Amazon boycott. Then March 21st through the 28th is supposed to be a Nestle boycott. Then April 7th through 14th, a Walmart boycott. April 18th is an economic blackout part 2. So everything. April 21st through the 28th is a GM or a General Mills boycott. May 6th through 12th is another Amazon boycott Amazon part 2. May 20 through 26 is Walmart boycott part 2. June 3rd through June 9th is Target boycott. June 24th through the 30th is the McDonald's boycott. And then July 4th is the
Nothing.
What's that? You trying to be funny? You was funny? You told a joke?
No.
Or I said something funny.
No, continue the list. Continue the list.
And then July 4th is the Independence Day boycott. And so
hold on, what do we boycott on Independence Day?
Don't
July
pop
4th.
a motherfucking thing. Don't you pop
What? We ain't popping Nathan.
And the ride gets regular. Keep it. Don't reenact that shit. Keep your money in your pocket.
Oh, so it's like it's a boycott of the 4th of July.
I suppose so. Again, just like you, I didn't know the rules. I don't know the rules, but I'm not gonna put no red on, no white on, no blue on. I'm not gonna pop shit. I think it's pretty simple. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's complicated to like not do.
I'm gonna participate in one of these. Or in a few.
What?
So if I don't, hold on, no. That's why I said a few. So like, listen, if I already don't shop at Walmart, I get a? Can I
maintain
say
the good behavior?
Okay, cool. So then I can say I participated in that one. But yeah, I'm on it. Text me that, Toya, so I could put it in my calendar.
I'm gonna text it to you. If you get on anything, and I think Google, if I won't say Google boycott, but if you get on any social media platform, I got on X just because I keep it and I don't care. You can judge me.
You need to be boycotting some damn X.
Judge your mother. that's how I be getting shit like this. We need to know what they talk about and what they saying. We need to be behind enemy lines. I'm doing research, goddamn. So, yeah, that's where I found it. But I don't think we're gonna post it on the Chopper page or anything like that. So check it out.
We're not gonna put it full support.
I mean, should we? You seem to be very iffy. I want to be a unified front. I know what I'm doing.
No. We a unified front.
You keep acting weird about it.
The chop up supports the economic boycotts. The chop up show supports the economic boycotts. Yes, as a unit.
Well, then I'll be posting these economic blackout tour dates so that we can all be on the same page at the same time in the same place.
Yeah, we a unit,
Devin
man.
said, I always say the man is classist, not racist. All he see is green, which is, I mean, but this is kind of this neo-orientation toward fascism where I can really surround myself with a bunch of niggas and a bunch of brown people and a bunch of these people to make sure things are fine. If I got somebody with the last name Cruz willing to carry out, you know what I'm saying, the worst parts of my efforts in his particular state, then I'm good. If I can get a Rubio in there to do some weird shit, then we're really on to something. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's really part of it. So this just, I mean, and there's a thing called racial cap, right? That is a really important theoretical like school of thought that really converges the deeply embedded tangled web that is woven between race and class. THC to BTC said, we're gonna need you to participate this time. Devin said, I'm always gonna ask why boycott and where we're trying to participate and where are we trying to go by participating and what do we do as an outcome? Like, these are all critical questions that we do need to ask. I just feel like the apparatus, like, we have enough information. Just hold your money, hold your cash, be strategic in your shopping, like, and find other meaningful ways to come up with ideas to generate some resistance in your own way. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of that stuff is what we need to be doing. THC to BTC said, the better question is, what would you be celebrating on the 4th of July? I promise I don't do nothing but try to be with my dog and make her not scared because of all the
barbecue. I'm saying it's a barbecue holiday for me. I want barbecue.
I mean, exactly, right? I really enjoy it. I've been asked, like, what's your favorite holiday? And it's like the 4th of July, but for none of the reasons that have anything to do with
it. But that's because, like, Kansas City, right? Like, 4th of July.
Yeah,
is big
you know what I'm saying? Like, you grilling, niggas put that shit on. Like, you look gooder than
you look good. You got your 4th of July outfit. Yeah. And that's,
you know
like, when we be talking about these holidays, we got to remember, sometimes it's just about family. Like, it's just about an excuse for people to come together, you know what I mean, look good, dress good. It ain't like we, you know what I'm saying, the Pledge of Allegiance. Niggas just needed an excuse to barbecue. That's all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
THC said, I'm not on X. Does that mean I participated in that? In Damo voice. Yeah. You get credit for that. Leave it up to this nigga, and that means you're doing a great job. With the band.
I'm just trying to be in unity.
Dan said, if I'm out of tree, I'm going to shop. Sorry, LOL. Yeah, you are a fool, my dude. Like, and I ain't mad, but that's shopping local. That's different. Don't go to the. That's the thing. Don't go to the
big name joint. Don't go to the none of with the that look like a. Don't go to none of the ones that look like an Apple store. Go to ones that still pull out jars from the bottom.
So if you done got bougie, you need to go power. Make sure the connect number still works. See if they still doing what they do. Don't wait till the 3rd to figure that out either. You're gonna be pissed. Go see if that number, that text still go through. Because we're not going to the dispense. We're going to the down low. Okay. And get you something light. You can go to the dispense later, but just for a couple days.
I call them the bootleg joints. You gotta go to the bootleg.
Listen, it's been love in here. We keeping our heads on swivel. We never letting anything. One of my favorite kind of sports, like colloquialisms, like whenever somebody talks about what makes a player good or what makes a quarterback good, they say, you know, really got a lot of love for this guy because he never lets anything get him too high or get him too low. And that's really what it kind of like, you know what I'm saying, what it got to be. You know what I mean? That's the player. That's the time we in. We are able to be fluid and fluctuate because we're humans, but never let any of this shit get you too high. Never let it get us too low. Keep it serious, take it serious, and be honest with yourself and others about how things are moving and shaking. But lead with love, make decisions about what protects your personhood and keeps you sleeping good at night or as well as you can. And we're going to collect the vibes and keep sharing knowledge until it's time for phase 2. And we got to get active in other ways. And then we'll be ready for that too. So love y'all. Thank y'all for everybody who commented. Emmanuel, Devin, Terrell, who else is in here? Peaches, Doggone, J Universe, YB Speaks was up in here. A lot of love. Tyler, you know what I'm saying? The family, the crew is here. Before you go, hit a thumb. If you didn't, make sure you hit the bell so you know we popping back off in here again. Definitely, Devin, we got so much reunioning to do, my dog. So keep holding down the city. You remember Devin that debated, right, Dominique?
Yeah.
Yeah. So at center. I'm University Academy. Tripping.
Yeah,
But
when I remember I went to I think I went to University Academy with Devin.
y'all might have went around the same time. Like, there's definitely some overlap. And then Devin went to ESU with me too. So that's my brother for real. But we're grateful for y'all. Devin, thank you for popping in here. Hope this ain't the last time. Emmanuel J Universe, thank y'all so much. We love y'all. See y'all another time. See y'all next week.
Yeah, next week we'll see y'all. It's a conversation we want to talk about with the media. We still gonna get on that, but we out. It's the Chop Up. Peace. Yeah. We out.